Marcia, tell us, if you will, what really is this book about?
Well, my son Ryan is now 26, and he's an engineer at a major aerospace company. And his job at that company, which, if you would have told me when he was this little weird kid going around the house he had this little portable radio that he carried with him everywhere. And he plugged it into every outlet over and over and over again. And, he did every light switch, he did every fan, you name it, he did it. And
repetitive behaviors.
Yes, a lot of repetitive behaviors and wanting everything to be the same over and over and over again.
Right.
And if you would have told me he'd ever be doing what he's doing now, I never would have
blown you over with a feather.
Yes. And to be honest, most of what I did back then was so I could tell myself if I ever had to find placement for him, that, I did everything possible.
Right.
Thank God for guilt.
Yes.
Because I probably wouldn't have done half the things I did.
But I have to say that as a parent, as I've interviewed so many parents who have gotten their kids to a point where they use a word like recovery or say that they, have left the diagnosis behind, the one thing that I find in common, besides the fact that they've had some measure of taking care of the medical side of kids and some measure of ABA, which we're going to talk about that you did both of those things, is the attitude of the parents is always that and they all say pretty much the same thing, that I determined that I was going to be able to look my kid in the eye and said I did everything that I could have. That kind of will, and you certainly in your book you chronicle that you did everything and then some.
Well, I'm always amazed at the moms that I meet because they are so strong and they are so determined. And, I'm going to go to Autism-1 this year, and I'm going to be in the recovery lounge with a group they call the Mothers Determined.
Right.
Because we're all authors with recovered kids. And, we all did it different ways.
Yes.
But the kids are okay.
Right.
The one thing that makes my kid different is he's an adult and he's a proven success. Because,
yes, he is.
At age 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, I thought he was doing pretty good. And, I might have sort of said the recovered word. But he really wasn't.
Right.
I thought he was. But as kids get older, the social skills get harder.
Yes, the gap widens, as they say, the academic gap and the social gap. This is what I'm finding with Wyatt.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I want to look at a couple of things in the book because there are a couple of things that I just thought were fascinating.
Okay.
First of all, the foreword written by your son, I think, is required reading for every parent of a child with autism.
Are you going to read it? It always makes me cry when
I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do want to talk about the fact that one of the things that I loved about your book is how courageous and honest you are, and that you have other people's voices in the book that are not yours, your son, your husband, your daughter, and you allowed them to be honest, and sometimes it wasn't necessarily the most flattering thing for you. And I thought, wow, how brave of you to have allowed that, right?
You know what? I've had to put up with that from them for many, many years. As a matter of fact...
But you didn't have to put it in print.
No, I didn't. As a matter of fact, sometimes Ryan calls me and he says, "Did you see the Goldbergs?" Because he compares me to Mrs. Goldberg.
I get that too. I get that too. That's a compliment, I think. But in any case, he talks in here about that you wrote this, gave it to him, and said, "What do you think? Is it okay to share this?" And that there's a part of him that isn't necessarily thrilled about all this being out there.
No,
but
he's not. And the people he works with have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I always talk about that he works at a major aerospace company because I don't want to mention where he works.
Right.
But, they have no idea he was ever severely affected with autism. And, he's a little nerdy, like most engineers.
Yes.
But that's
like all good, smart people.
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah. But, they wear that almost as a
badge.
Yeah,
nerd
nerdy
badge.
is in.
Well, okay, so you were going to go through some passages, and then I want to find out some of the pivotal...
Right.
Because every parent out here wants to know this. Let's face it.
Absolutely.
What worked, what didn't, and I know that's not a simple question because there are a lot of things that kind of work, a lot of things, and I say it's the pasta that you throw against the wall and some sticks and some slides down.
I like that.
Because I've had some of those things with my own son, and I know Shannon has with Jem. I want to get to that.
But one of the quotes that I really had to read because I think you encapsulated, we were talking the other day about how there are different stages of autism for moms, and I think you encapsulated the beginning one so beautifully. You wrote, one of the hardest things to deal with when you have a child with autism is that you don't know the rest of the story. You have no clue how things will turn out. Not only do you have an awful day-to-day existence dealing with the behaviors of your child and the shortcomings of your medical and educational systems, but you are frightened beyond words about your child's future.